Ladies and gentlemen, Twitter is on its way to bankruptcy. If you don't believe me, you can see the writing on the wall. They lost $743 million this last quarter. Okay, third quarter earnings, misses earnings per share, beats revenue, so what? They had an operating income, negative operating income of $743 million. Their debt increased from 3.46 billion to $4.25 billion. Okay? And they say, well, it has 7.41 billion in cash. Well, if they keep on losing almost $1 billion every quarter, it's not going to take long. They're losing money. They're a shrinking platform. They are not, okay, they're supposed to be this like global commons where the opposite is the case. They take their marching orders from the government. They are a mouthpiece for one political party. They're used to silence, the New York Post when it comes to a story about Hunter Biden, and they prop up and, help disseminate absurd lies like the Steele dossier. So anyone sharing the Steele dossier, that was fine. But a legitimate story about Hunter Biden that is not only legitimate, like the federal government is actually investigating, his business activity, and Politico eventually and others eventually the New York Post was vindicated because their reporting was spot on. And right before people went to the polls, Twitter suppressed and silenced a story detrimental to the Democratic Party. Then they had the audacity to say it was just an accident. Of course it wasn't. Twitter, most social media companies are run by morally superior, sometimes apoplectic, but always morally superior liberal Democrats who want to just squeeze the vice of suppression and prevent dialogue, discussion, discourse, debate, because if they don't have the ability to silence people, if they don't have the ability to ban or suspend or, prevent discussion, their ideas don't resonate. And that's just a fact. That's why it's really hilarious, too, because when Marjorie Taylor Greene was suspended permanently after President Trump was, and now this segment is about Joe Rogan moving millions of people to GETTR and other, I believe that's how it's pronounced, GETTR and other social media platforms away from Twitter. When you have this type of exodus, it's because the platform is slowly just, disintegrating. It's not it's not a global commons, it's not a place where people it's a digital cyber nightmare, this dystopian scourge upon humanity. It's Tron. Remember the movie Tron? For apoplectic, hysterical, but always morally superior, self-righteous, arrogant narcissists who think that they're always on the side of justice and morality and truth and reason and logic, and they get to spread lies like the Steele dossier, literally purchased by Trump's direct political rivals, now known to be an absolute farce, hoax, myth, compilation of patently false statements and overt lies. But you see, Twitter rules and guidelines, nobody got suspended for sharing the Steele dossier, but they did suspend the New York Post's account for accurately reporting on Hunter Biden's wonderful emails that are direct examples of quid pro quo. How can you use your influence on behalf of the company? Could you imagine Donald Trump Jr. having that same email within his laptop that he just left in a drunken stupor someplace? So the New York Post was suspended because they told the truth. You have a scientist kicked off and who was on Joe Rogan, a world-renowned scientist, because he, didn't abide by certain groupthink or consensus. There's a fabricated consensus where any dissent is stifled and silenced. That's not a consensus. That's just, groupthink. We learned this in 1984. You can't suppress ideas. You have to defeat ideas. You have to actually have debate and discussion. If you cannot debate your ideas and you rely on social media companies like Twitter to just silence your political opponents, that means your ideas are horrible or weak, or you're too inept and incompetent at defending them. That's why you would need people to silence others. Okay? But Twitter is a platform that's like basically a platform that is barely existing. It's a place for people like Bette Midler to insult the entire state of West Virginia. And of course, she's not going to get banned or suspended off of Twitter. If the reverse were true, if a conservative actor or some kind of pundit insulted, a liberal or a blue state, you better believe he or she would have been suspended immediately. The rules are never applied equally. There's a complete double standard. Okay. If Trump says something that's, they consider vile or mean, he is, oh my God, warning, this is not true. But if it's Adam Schiff or if it's Maxine Waters or if it's anyone on the left or any Democrat actually stating, get in people's faces, oh, Trump was installed by the Kremlin, that never breaks Twitter protocol. Okay? And then you have the issue of bullying, insulting comments, this angry mob of people that utilize Twitter to silence. And I mean, I did segments on Patton Oswalt had to actually apologize because Twitter and other platforms, the morally superior, hysterical, apoplectic, completely insidious mob of angry, almost like artificial intelligent robots. Basically, most of these angry profiles on Twitter, they're not even you don't see who the person is because they get very, very courageous and they get this, this courage if they're behind the keyboard. But again, it's all about bullying, groupthink, peer pressure. It's not about ideas, debate, discussion. The internet was supposed to be about ideas and debate, discussion, dialogue, discourse. You were supposed to be able to talk about anything and everything. And Twitter is like a megaphone for the morally superior liberal Democratic Party that's always wrong on everything. Why on earth did we tank the economy 2 years ago? For what purpose? We still have the hysteria of what's going on. Nothing that they have stated worked. Nothing. Literally nothing they've stated has worked, and yet they still continue to use Twitter as a platform to ensure that only a certain type of information is given to people. God forbid we actually have a discussion in this country. Oh, no. It's just one person who is anointed as the smartest person in the room. You're wrong, Dr. Rand, you're wrong. And you know what? He is God. There's God, and then there's that person. No, I'm sorry. There's Twitter consensus, or the consensus of morally superior liberal Democrats, MSNBC, CNN, then God, okay, then you. Because they've replaced religion. The social media giants have replaced religion with this worship of what they deem appropriate. Their sensibilities are now an actual religion. The sensibilities of morally superior liberal Democrats and also conservatives that side with the liberal Democrats, like the Lincoln Project, who, by the way, along with Bill Kristol, were against marriage equality. Yeah, and then they push for never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. But that won't stop the Bette Midlers or the liberal Hollywood Democrats from retweeting them. But I mean, you have Patton Oswalt who took a picture with Dave Chappelle, and he was apologizing. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I took this picture. Look, the early 2000s was dominated by Bush Republicans who got us into endless quagmires and had the most warped thinking on so many things. Those Bush Republicans are today's liberal Democrats. Arrogant, narcissists, self-righteous, people who are literally wrong on everything. On everything. Cheating Bernie Sanders, blaming Russia for installing Trump, all of the things that they said they didn't do or that happened were all lies. Okay? Wasn't a fair and neutral primary. Trump didn't work with Russia, nor was he installed. Everything from crime to inflation is worse. Immigration, every topic is worse now under Biden. Wealth inequality, climate change issues, fossil fuels are at record highs. Why? Every single topic is categorically, objectively worse than it was under Trump. And more people lost their lives from you-know-what last year under Biden than Trump. But of course, there's no federal answer to it. Before it was, Trump. And then with Biden, it's with mashed potato brains, no federal issue. Anyway, you could say goodbye to Twitter. It's a platform that MySpace was more important to people than Twitter was. At least MySpace was like the initial Facebook, where people didn't get into arguments and fights every 2 seconds. But Joe Rogan is amazing. I love Joe Rogan. And him going to GETTR is one huge step to help America break its addiction to a social media platform that is terrible, that is not only losing billions, and has billions in debt, but that provides there's nothing good that comes from it. So if you're on Twitter right now, listen to me. Delete your account right this second. It will be the best thing you do this year. If you want to just delete your account, if you want to ensure that you save hours and, reduce stress, do one thing after you watch this segment. Delete your Twitter account, and I would even say delete your Facebook account. Make sure you have the phone numbers of people you care about. And you know what? And the only good thing about Facebook, at least there's a good thing, you can reconnect with people that were important to you. Other than that, reconnect with beautiful people that were important to you. But other than that, there's no point to Facebook either. There's no point to social media is a dystopian, nightmarish, alternate reality. You are entering into an alternate reality. It takes you away from reality. It takes you away from people you love, from enjoying life. You're wasting time. We have a finite, we have just a short amount of time on this earth. And you're, oh yeah. What's the point? God forbid you think your last breath's on this planet. You're going to say, yeah, you know what? At least I got that, no-name profile, and I proved him or her right or wrong on Twitter. Remember, I was so great. No, you're not going to say that. You're going to say, why did I spend so much time on social media? Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I'll give you the update on Evergrande. Its shares were halted for inside information. We'll talk about the inside information right away. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and to this channel right now. Thanks, everybody. And if you want to support my work, my Patreon is below. I commend Joe Rogan on moving people away from this dystopian nightmare called Twitter. And it's on its way to bankruptcy. If you can't see that, well, whatever. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you.